Welcome to the Silver Mature WomanPreneur Podcast, a podcast for and by women over 50, providing faith-building strategies for female entrepreneurs looking to achieve higher levels of productivity, capacity, and growth, where we strive to focus on God's agenda while building our businesses to serve our community with excellence. Welcome to the podcast.
Absolutely be thrilled to. How did this happen? How did we wake up and we're in our, 50s and above? One of the things that has been so interesting to me, I've been coaching now since 2010. I've been a work-from-home mom now for, holy cow, getting close to 20 years. I guess I shouldn't call myself a work-from-home mom now. I have an empty nest, although my Josie counts. I think my puppy counts. So I am a work-from-home mom.
You are.
But what ends up happening is with age, fingers crossed, comes wisdom. And what I think has been so interesting is now being able to look back at those of us who are women, who are entrepreneurs, the journeys that we've been on, and how much we pile on ourselves, how society, culturally, being, whether we fall into, baby boomers or Gen X, how we have just been raised in an environment and in a society where we just did all the things. We just did all the things, and there was a certain list of things that you needed to check off. Get married and have kids and whatever. And it's really interesting now in 2021 to look back and go, well, that was kind of a crock.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because as you were saying that, I thought about the things that were expected of us. So, growing up, you go to college, you get a degree, you work, and then you retire from, the company after 35, 40 years, 50 years, or whatever. You enter in retirement.
Oh my gosh, right?
And there you go.
Yeah, and that just not only is it not realistic, but now it just isn't possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it just isn't possible anymore, which is why I love the fact that I'm seeing so many women that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s. They're becoming entrepreneurs for the very first time, and it's so fun to watch. And it's also fun to, it's also fun to be a part of it.
Yeah, and because I am watching the same thing, and I know isn't 50 like the new 40 or something like that? I don't know.
You know what? I'm 54, and I think it's the new 39, so there's that.
Well, hey, look, whatever. I am 62. Yes, I am 62, and I feel like it's the new 40, right? So
there you go.
Because I don't know if, growing up, I used to always think, and I know it's changed now, the perception of, when you are, 50 and above. The perception when I was coming up was like, man, they're old.
Oh my gosh, I remember when 30 was old. What the heck was I thinking?
I know, right? But I think the thing was, of course not. We live longer. We are, doing more things. It's like we came to the realization that, life doesn't end after 50. There's no, like you were saying, that's not even realistic to think that, you can follow those steps and that be like the same result for everybody, right? Because everybody has their own different path and their own, desires, their own, different careers and the way they want to do things. And quite honestly, some of us don't even realize it until our 50s. It's like, that is not what I wanted to do anyway, I
didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up until I was 40. Actually, I take that back. I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up when I was 10, but, the world let me know that wasn't a possibility. And so waking up in my early 40s going, wait a minute, I can totally do that. People make good money for that. Let me go do that now is really fun, because I think that, again, like we were talking earlier, women, we're just checking the lists. We're checking, we're looking at the list going, okay, I did this, and then we're empty nesters, and it's like, well, wait a minute, now what?
Right.
Now what? Now what do I do? Yeah. And it's been really fun to watch so many women jump into that. Oh, well, you know what? I always wanted to do this. I got sidetracked. I have an amazing family. I have an amazing husband. My life was amazing, but now I want to go do this thing.
Yeah. Now, you just said something that kind of prompted me to ask this question. So, did you always know? You said at 10 you said you were at 10 years old when you knew what you wanted to do. Right? So, how did you process that? So, how does that work when you don't get to do it? So well, let me ask it this way. Did you not get to do it? Did you lead into it? How did that all kind of pan out?
Well, so here's the Reader's Digest version is, when I was a little kid, you know what? I had a YouTube channel before there was a YouTube or the internet or anything. I grew up with a mom who was always dragging me outside, go play, go get fresh air. I wanted to just read books, and any time that, like, I was in the tub or anything, I can't believe I'm saying this on a podcast, more than just my inner circle are going to hear this. I seriously would have, like, conversations, like interview people that weren't there, obviously, because I was, like 7 in the bathtub, but I had my own YouTube channel when I was 7, and what ended up happening from there, I used to line up all my dolls and tell them how important they were and how pretty they were and how smart they were, and do things that a 7-year-old would do if they were coaching. And I was the only right-brain kid in a left-brain family, and so I was raised in a left-brain environment, and so I had to get good at things that were in my left brain. Now, when you get good at stuff, then people keep wanting you to do it. So, I go into adulthood, and then I am completely living as a left-brained person, and I'm just not. And the energy that takes to maintain is absolutely exhausting. And so I spent most of my growing up years checking the boxes. I had a good job. I got married. I had kids. I followed the rules. I did what I was supposed to do, which by the time I was in my late 30s was so completely burnt out, I didn't even know which end was up. I had no idea who I was, much less what I was supposed to be doing. And honestly, I don't think I'm the only one. I think a lot of women are finding themselves, wait a minute, I'm a product of my environment, or I'm a product of my situation. I'm a product of, well, who am I really?
Wow.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it really does, because, even as I think about, my, growing up and everything, and I didn't have a YouTube channel, but I grew up as an only child, so I had to kind of entertain myself.
Heck yeah.
And I got really good at it. I got really good at it. Yeah. And so I grew up as an only child. I was raised by, older parents. And so there was a little bit of, lack of, understanding in terms of, what direction, you should go and things like that, because they were not educated, and things like that. And so I kind of found my own path, and nothing, against them. They still directed me with the best resources and knowledge and wisdom that they had. And so I kind of found my own path. And even when I think about some things, even, today, I think about, wow, that's why I used to do that, or that's why, I'm so prone to do this, and things like that. And so I kind of, found my own path, and just through God's guidance and everything, it just really all worked out, because we know that, God will, it all works out. Okay. And so, and I'm thankful, for things, turning out the way they did. It always, could have been worse. And, but I really had a good upbringing. I had a good, things worked out well, and and so I don't know exactly where I was going with that, but anyway.
That's okay. The strange thing is I always follow you, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I follow you. And with me growing up, Aldreama, I grew up, my friends and I used to joke, I grew up in Leave It to Beaverland. I mean, I had a wonderful childhood. I just was conditioned to be a left-brain child. It's not good or bad or right or wrong. It just is, and that's okay. But it really surprises me that so many of us truly just don't know how we're wired. And for me, and I suspect for many people, many of us, especially, women, once we hit that 40, 50 and up range, is we have that moment of, who am I really? I've been, again, checking the boxes and doing the things, but every, 80,000 thoughts we have a day, and 90% of them are not our own.
Yeah, that is so very true. And that's a lot of thoughts.
Right? Even for me, and that's saying something.
And it's scary. It's really scary if you think about it, 80,000 thoughts. And so it's really fascinating that, since we have all of those thoughts, and we know that it's up to us to guide those thoughts. Do you believe that, or how do you feel about that?
I totally agree. One thing that has really benefited me was being able to understand that 90% of our thoughts are subconscious. So they're just back there running on autopilot. And they show up for us every day as, our comfort zone and our negative self-talk and our self-sabotage. I think we just get to the point where we accept it as that's just normal, and we actually can start listening to and believing, some of the junk that goes on in our head. I mean, seriously, being, in your 40s or 50s, starting a brand new phase of your life, deciding that you want to, whether you've been in entrepreneurial ventures before and you're starting something new, or you're just doing something entrepreneurial for the very first time. It's, all the yucky stuff is going to start showing up. Anything yucky that's ever been stuck in your subconscious is going to rear its ugly head and ask you, what in the heck do you think you're doing? That is so true. Which makes the journey just, all the much more bumpy, I guess.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, and I think, I tell people, for me, I think I kind of found my stride and my rhythm at a later time in my life. I got married when I was 39, so there were a lot of things that I'm actually still discovering about myself. One thing I know is that the entrepreneurial spirit has always been inside of me, because I remember my first entrepreneurial endeavor, and I was in high school. I used to sell snacks to the kids, before and after school, and I would just kind of throw a little sign in the window, now open, snacks available. I love it. And they would stop and buy their little snacks before school and after, I love it. So that has always, been there. So I understood later why it never went away. You know what I mean? It just never went away. It was anytime I was in corporate America or, doing a job, it was like I was never settled on that. And so, it would always pop up, and I knew that I just had to kind of figure this thing out, because I'm not going to be happy. So,
Well, and the game changer for me really came, let's see, I'm 54. The game changer for me really showed up when I've always been obsessed with personality assessments. They're fun, and they're engaging, and they're entertaining, and they can tell you a lot. I've always been kind of a brain geek from that perspective. And it wasn't until, personality assessments have been a part of my coaching, for almost a decade now. And I remember going back and taking, different assessments, and they always came back the same. It wasn't until that I developed a relationship with now my business partners, with Ideal Personality, Jamie and Marla Keller. We became fast friends when I moved to Idaho 6 years ago, and 3 years ago I left the assessment. I left that company that I was with for a long list of reasons, and decided I was going to actually start my own. And having conversations with Jamie and Marla, they already had one that they've been using as an onboarding tool for their coupleship clients. And the more we dug into it and had conversations, we decided this needed to, let's shine a light on it, let's bring it to life. The reason it got me so excited was here I am, 51, 52 years old, and I had no idea what I was wired to do. Like, no idea. I knew what I was good at, but I was exhausted. I was in full burnout mode. Like, for me, it was full mental and physical fallout. And having conversations, and I think a lot of us in our 50s, we kind of get to that point of, okay, well, this season is slowing down or is closing, whether it's, we become empty nesters or, an early retirement, or, there are a million different things, that can cause us to shift. A later in life marriage, a divorce, the whole, big long list. And for me, it was trying to peel back all the layers of why am I so tired? Why am I so why am I exhausted? Why do I feel like I'm 20, 30 years older than I know that I am? What's going on here? And to be honest, I got sick and freaking tired of people telling me it was menopause. I just was done. I'm like, okay, I'm not blaming that on, can I get an amen?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, would you just, stop blaming everything on that? Regardless of where it came from, there's got to be a solution, because I don't want to sit here, with my little blanket on my lap, which ironically I am now, but that's because I can. That's because I can. And just, slowly, trickle off into, non-existence. It's like I got 10 grandkids I want to keep up with. I have a business I'm running. We're empty nesters. I want to go do stuff. My husband and I got married almost 16 years ago, and we blended two families together. So we've never been alone. I'd like to enjoy some of that.
Yeah.
What blew my mind, Aldreama, what totally blew my mind was the fact that starting to have conversations with my now business partners and understanding what a brain lead truly is and learning about how we're actually wired, that was one of the biggest shifts I ever made. One of the biggest shifts, because most of us at some point in our lives live in survival mode. That's not always a bad thing. It can be, but survival mode is just you do what you got to do when you got to do it to get through a season. Here's what happens. What if we stay there?
Wow.
What if we stay there?
I'm sorry. That is so fascinating to me, because I remember when I first met you, that is the exact conversation you were having with some of the ladies as we were standing around the counter in Salt Lake City. And so, I was like, man, she is really passionate about this personality thing. Like,
I am. Well, it's, living my life as a left-brainer and then discovering that I'm like literally the polar opposite has completely changed everything. And being able to sit down and think back, gosh, you know what, when I was a kid, I used to love this. Well, then why don't I still do it? Really, the only difference between us now and us when we were kids is, we're bigger, really. Yeah. We got a lot of life and a lot of experience, and we've grown families, et cetera, but we're still the same person.
Yeah.
So why do we feel that it's okay to get away from that? Let's get back to that. Let's show up in our businesses. Let's show up in our lives. Let's show up in our families the way that God designed us, and let's get back to having fun and all of the wonderful things that come with that. I was in full-blown adrenal fatigue and severe clinical depression. And a good chunk of it was the fact that I was burning myself out from the inside out.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about, like the mental energy management coaching and, helping women to avoid burnout, and the hamster wheel, and how does all of that stuff connect? Because
oh my gosh,
I love it. I mean, I know we don't have time, because I know that there is a lot to that, is what I'm saying. But like a little snapshot, how does all of that connect?
Oh my gosh. Well, and let's just be honest, Aldreama, you just know that I talk a lot, so you want to make sure that, you keep me on time, right? I'm okay with that.
Well, because what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to come back. That's all. We're just going to have to come back, because I know your passion for all of these things, and so we'll definitely, come back and, just kind of dive into some more, about
Heck
it. But,
yeah, I'm always down for that. You know that, my friend. How did all this come about? I started, Get Off the Damn Hamster Wheel has been around since 2010, and believe it or not, yes, that was a download from God. And it was so funny, because I remember I had a gal, the spiritual mentor of mine at the time, and I kept telling her, I can't say that. I can't say get off the damn hamster wheel, because at the time I really wanted to connect with women in churches. And she's like, well, it was given to you, so what? So I was like, oh, okay, let's run with it, because it's the truth. That's what it feels like. And we get so in the habit. It's the day in and the day out, and the lunches, and the getting the kids ready, and just all the things that we do, and we do it on autopilot. And we were not designed to live on autopilot.
Yeah. And
I realized, and so many women find themselves in this space and in this place of, wait a minute, it's not just me.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not just you. Honey, it's all of us. It's all of us in some way, shape, or form. And so the program came around simply because when I left the career that I had been in previously, I was really on fire for helping women build their businesses and build their lives, build their businesses around their lives, and not being focused on their business and then fitting their lives in the cracks. And whether it was a 9-to-5, whether it was building it, their own business, whatever that looked like for them. And what I learned was we all have the same set of problems. We all have basically what boils down to 4 things that we struggle with. And so as my business evolved and the Get Off the Damn Hamster Wheel program, the mental energy management program, I should probably have, a name for my business that I can actually say. Mental energy management program came about. It's been 3 years now, 4 years. When did we first meet, honey? When was Sean's first retreat? 2018?
I want to say, no, that was the second one, I think. I think the first one was in, I think the first one was in 2017. Yeah, maybe the latter part. Yeah, it was in 2017.
Was it?
Then
oh, my gosh.
The second one is, yeah.
It just felt like it was yesterday, actually. But
it did. It does.
That was when the program actually launched. Of course, Sean, being my coach, helped me with all of that, and he's phenomenal. I just love him to pieces. And what I discovered was that we're all in a different place of the same things. And so what started out, how my program started out, and how it really started to dive into the mental energy, is that's what everything boils down to. If we don't know how we're actually wired, it takes 10 times more energy to live in a survival mode mental state than it does to just identify the traits and tendencies that come naturally to you, that energize you, that are fun for you, and then live within them. It doesn't mean you don't do the other things, but when you know what energizes you, what depletes you, how to restore and how to reserve your mental energy, where the mind goes, the body follows. If you can keep your mental energy in a space where it is renewable and restorable, and you're not completely mentally blitzed out by the end of every single day, things change. Then all of the other things seem to come together. And the 4 areas where I saw that women struggled were, as a part of that energy management, time management, boundaries, self-care, and then mindset. Obviously not in that, not necessarily in that order, but those are the 4 areas that regardless, all of us are having a struggle in. And the bottom line for me, every single little bit of research, clients I've worked with, my personal experiences, everything boiled down to I'm overexerting myself mentally. So if I can fix that, and it's not a quick fix, it's an ongoing fix. It's a level of awareness and being proactive. If I can do that, everything else gets so much simpler.
Wow.
And so that's what I'm on fire with. That's what everybody needs to know is that's where it starts.
Exactly. I mean, and I didn't mean to interrupt you. I so agree with you, though. I mean, of course, especially in the area, time management and energy. I mean, everything that you said, is so on point. So I wanted to get to one more, maybe 2 more questions. Like, what would you say to your younger self if you had to speak to your younger self as an entrepreneur? What would you say?
Oh, my goodness. You should warn a girl.
I know.
Wow.
Is there like one thing, like, for me, I think I would probably say, like, Aldreama, it's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. I mean, it's that simple, So, yeah. So what would you say?
I think the one thing that if I could go back when I very first started this entrepreneurial journey, is I would tell myself, keep going, you're on the right path. You'll get there. You'll get there.
Yeah.
I felt it in many entrepreneurs that you and I think you and I had a conversation about this at one of the retreats, is sometimes it can feel like, it's like we have to keep starting. We have to keep starting. Yeah. We have to keep starting. And that's exhausting. And I think if we can allow ourselves as entrepreneurs, especially at this stage in our life, to look through the filter of, instead of now I have to change, or I need to start again, what if we just looked at it as an evolution? And it took me a long time to figure that out. I have had my own business and have been working from home since 2001, 2?
Wow.
I don't remember. It's been a while. Early 2000s. So I think it's been 20 years, actually. I think this year it was 20 years. And just being able to look at everything as an evolution, because I think about where I started, and I can probably easily handpick 15 to 20 different times along. I'm actually drawing a timeline with my finger. Can you see that? I don't know why I do that.
I can.
You can see it, can't you? To where, from then until now, 15 different points along the line of, I needed to evolve there. Yeah, the person I was when I got there wasn't the person that I needed to be to get me to the next point, and then to the next point, and to the next point. And I think we get stuck in the arrival part of entrepreneurship.
Wow. That is very, very powerful. Very powerful. Do you have like a couple of tips that you would want to share before as far as business, entrepreneurship? I mean, what you have already shared is so powerful. I mean, I was thinking, well, what else can she share? Because everything.
This is me. I talk to you all day long, girl.
Right. And so what are, 2 or 3 tips, for women over 50, what, are some, just a few tips in terms of if they're just entering that space at this time and they're over 50, what would you say?
Ooh, okay. So tip number 1. For those of you entering man, that's a hard word for me today. Entrepreneurship. Good heavens. I should have had more coffee. At this point in your life, And many people will tell you, read all the books, watch the webinars, take the courses. And I don't disagree with that, but I do want to let everybody know that 90% of those opportunities, while they're wonderful, they were written by, spoken by, trained by somebody who is what we consider a director personality, which means they're a front left brain person. And that person says they're going to make a change, and they do it. They don't need motivation. They are internally motivated. What happens is, especially as an entrepreneur, you're watching different courses and ways to do different things. And you get all excited, and then something in the journey just falls out from underneath you, and you think it's you. It's not you. What if you're wired differently than that director personality? You can still do it. You've just got to do it your way. So be willing to find a way to do things your way. The second thing that I would really, really want to let new entrepreneurs know is, please just show up and do it ugly. Please just show up. People do not care what letters are behind your name. People do not care, if you're wearing, if your business on top and, party on the bottom. They don't care if you wear yoga pants or your hair in a ponytail. They don't care. What they want is the real, raw, ugly, transparent, truthful you. And especially in this season of your life, you showing up as you with your unique experience will change lives. So just show up and be you. I guess those would be the two most powerful things that I would share.
Let me tell you something. That is like, I'm just over here like, okay, where's the mic so I can drop it? Because
I love you.
Because
Boom.
I'm telling you, yeah. I mean, there is so much that you just said. It's like, okay, so, man, unfortunately, we're going to have to end it here, but I do want you to share how people can reach you. What do you have going on? Because by the time this launches, it'll be definitely will be important that people can reach you, and just kind of share what you got going on. That you may have some way of people connecting with you. You may have a program going on right now, or whatever it is. What you got?
Oh my gosh,
Christa Pep?
So many things. First thing I would really encourage everybody. I've got a free group on Facebook. It's called Get Off the Damn Hamster Wheel. Would love to have you be a part of that. Tips, tricks, insights, and a little bit of encouragement and cheerleading along the way when it comes to those things that trip us up, the things that lead us to burnout. Again, boundaries, self-care, mindset, and time and energy management. So that would be the first thing. Just jump in the free group, enjoy it, engage. I'm live in there, do some trainings. It's great. It's fun. We have a great group of people in there. And the second thing is, and you can find this in the free group, is a link to take the Burnout Barometer. The Burnout Barometer is going to give you some insight as to where your current energy levels are and how close to burnout could you potentially be, and what can you do about it? So, which will, hopefully let's just get on a Zoom and let me just talk to you and let me give you some advice and some insights and let's talk. That's my favorite thing to do, is to just get to meet people face to face and see how I can help. So that would be the best way for people to get a hold of me. I'm not a formal website fancy person. I'm just, hey, come hang out with me on Facebook.
And that is true. That is very, very true. I mean, it's like the person that you hear, those of you that will be listening, the person that you hear right now is the person that you will meet. You're very consistent, and I love that.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. Yeah, you're just so stinking cute.
Yeah.
You knew we were not going to go this whole time without me telling you how stinking cute you are.
Of course not. Well, Christa, this has been such a joy and an honor and a pleasure talking with you. All of the information will be in the show notes in terms of, the links and things like that, when where people can reach you and connect with you and things like that. So
fantastic.
I am so very excited. Thank you so much for coming to join me on this podcast. And I know we will get another opportunity to kind of continue. There'll be a part 2 and a part 3 and whatever, right?
Oh my gosh, I would love it. And oh my gosh, sweetie, the honor and the pleasure has been all mine. Thank you so much for letting me come and hang out in your space. I love you to pieces, and I want to support anything that you've got your hands on because I know it's going to be great.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Hi, this is Aldreama Harper, and thank you for listening to the podcast. I hope you got value for where you are in your entrepreneurial endeavor. And if you'd like to know more about how I can further serve you, simply go to CoachDreama.com. Again, that's CoachDreama.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Have an amazing day.